Here's what's happening right now. Today's focus is video games may be a surprisingly good way to get a cognitive boost. This story matters because video games are no longer just entertainment. They sit at the intersection of health, education, technology, and policy, and how we understand their impact could influence how people learn, age, work, and manage cognitive decline. In this video, we'll walk through what new reporting shows, why this conversation is resurfacing now, what researchers believe is happening in the brain, what this means for individuals and institutions, and what experts are watching next. Let's start with what we know. First, what happened? Recent reporting from the Washington Post highlights a growing body of research suggesting that certain video games, particularly those requiring strategy, problem solving, and sustained attention, may be associated with measurable cognitive benefits. Researchers studying memory, attention, and executive function have found that people who regularly engage in specific types of video games sometimes perform better on cognitive tasks than those who do not. These effects have been observed across different age groups, from young adults to older individuals. Importantly, researchers emphasize that this does not apply equally to all games. Fast-paced action games, puzzle-based games, and strategy games appear to engage the brain in different ways, activating systems related to reaction time, spatial awareness, and decision-making. The key point is that this is not just a casual observation. These findings are emerging from controlled studies, peer-reviewed research, and long-term data analysis, not anecdote alone. Why this is happening now? This conversation is resurfacing now for several reasons. First, gaming has become mainstream. A majority of adults now play video games in some form, whether on consoles, computers, or mobile devices. That widespread adoption has made it easier for researchers to study large, diverse populations. Second, advances in neuroscience and imaging technology have allowed scientists to observe how different activities affect the brain in real time. Researchers can now measure changes in attention, memory formation, and neural connectivity with far more precision than in the past. Third, demographic pressure matters. Aging populations in many countries have increased interest in ways to maintain cognitive health, delay decline, and preserve independence. This has pushed institutions to look beyond traditional interventions. Finally, the pandemic accelerated screen-based engagement. As people spent more time indoors, researchers gained new opportunities to study how sustained digital interaction affects cognition, both positively and negatively. Together, these factors have made the question harder to ignore. How video games may affect the brain. Experts point to several mechanisms that may explain the cognitive effects observed in gaming studies. Many video games require players to track multiple objectives at once, prioritize tasks, and make rapid decisions under pressure. This activates executive functions, the brain systems responsible for planning, focus, and flexible thinking. Action games often demand quick visual processing and precise motor responses, which may strengthen attention and reaction speed. Strategy and puzzle games engage memory, pattern recognition, and long-term planning. Repeated engagement in these activities appears to reinforce neural pathways associated with these skills. In some studies, players show improved performance not only in games, but also on unrelated cognitive tests. Researchers caution that these effects are task-specific. Improving one cognitive domain does not automatically improve all areas of thinking. Why this matters for individuals. For individuals, the implications are practical. If certain games can support attention, memory, or problem solving, they could complement traditional approaches to cognitive health. especially for older adults or people at risk of decline. Some clinicians are exploring whether structured gaming could support rehabilitation after injury or illness, or help maintain cognitive engagement in later life. At the same time, experts stress moderation. Excessive gaming, poor ergonomics, and sleep disruption can undermine health benefits. The takeaway for individuals is not that gaming is a cure-all, but that it may be one tool, when used intentionally. Why this matters for institutions. For institutions, the stakes are larger. Healthcare systems are under pressure to find cost-effective, scalable ways to support cognitive health. Digital tools, including games, are appealing because they can be widely distributed and personalized. Education systems are also watching closely. If interactive digital experiences improve attention and learning, they could influence curriculum design and teaching methods. Even workplaces are paying attention. Cognitive endurance, multitasking, and decision-making are valuable skills in many fields, and training methods matter. At the policy level, these findings could shape funding decisions, research priorities, and regulatory frameworks around digital health tools. The expert and risk scenario view. Experts generally frame the future in 3 scenarios. First, research continues to support modest, targeted cognitive benefits from certain games, leading to careful integration into healthcare and education as supplemental tools. Second, benefits prove limited or highly context-dependent, prompting caution against overpromising outcomes. Third, commercialization outpaces evidence, leading to exaggerated claims and public skepticism, which could slow legitimate research. The risk is not in studying gaming, but in misunderstanding or overselling its effects. What happens next? In the short term, expect more studies comparing different types of games, durations, and populations. In the medium term, researchers will focus on identifying who benefits most, under what conditions, and for how long. Long term, the question is whether video games remain recreational tools with side benefits or evolve into formally recognized cognitive interventions. That outcome depends on evidence, not hype. A helpful comparison. Similar debates have occurred around activities like crossword puzzles, language learning, and musical training. Each showed potential benefits, but only when used consistently and purposefully. The lesson is that cognitive tools work best as part of a broader system, not in isolation. Practical guidance. For individuals, experts recommend choosing games that challenge thinking rather than passive consumption, limiting playtime, and prioritizing sleep and physical activity. For institutions, the guidance is patience. Invest in research, demand evidence, and resist simple narratives. For everyone, clarity matters. Follow peer-reviewed findings, not viral claims. The now brief takeaway. Video games are no longer just entertainment. They are becoming a serious subject of scientific and policy interest. The most important thing to watch is not whether games are good or bad, but how, when, and for whom they may support cognitive health. That's your Now Brief. If this helped you understand what's happening and why it matters, like the video and share it with someone who should see it. Subscribe to stay informed. I'll see you next time.